hundreds of trillions of dollars coursing through our economic veins, there exists a pathway where no U.S. citizen needs endure poverty. Every child should be shielded from involuntary hunger and thirst. By eradicating greed and corruption, we pave the way forward. This chapter delves into the rationale behind our governmental expenditure and prompts a critical inquiry into how our leaders allocate our resources.
Well, I like that, especially for this last show. This is kind of a bittersweet day, folks. More sweet than bitter by far. But this is our last show in Studio 2. We did all of our practicing and so forth. And when it was just insights, we had Studio 1 where we had people come in. That was an in-person interview and discussion, but we had people come in and they were different industry leaders. I think the last one we did was with Steve Petrakis. We also went out in the field and went into shows, but that was Studio 1, which evolved into then the original insights and the original practice sessions with producer Barbie and myself. And actually, if you click on this, on the description of this video, I put in a link, and you should click here. I said to see the very first live broadcast on September 17th, 2024. It was producer Barbie and I talking about what the show's about, and then as well as we got into some political setup, some political discussions, because that was the original push of this show, was because there was so much madness going on within the political system. We had to get back. Let me see what we got here. Great start to the show. Moving down south, closer to you there, Mr. Jackson, Florida. I'm moving down to Oklahoma. Not quite as far, and certainly a little bit further west, several states. But yeah, good to hear from you, man. I appreciate it. But you click on the link after the show. Watch the show. Subscribe, please, to our channel, and as well as like the show. And hey, we got a bunch of people coming on. Appreciate it, guys. It's open mic. I want to talk about the politics here in a minute, the state of current events. But just to recap, this is the last. I showed you yesterday, which I anticipated being the last show of the in here. And I gave that hint that there might be another one, but it was actually going to be with my granddaughter, Emma. And her and I have been talking, and she got tied up actually working out last night. And by the time she got back to me, I'm 2 hours ahead of her. Plus, she's sleep-wise, a teenager, and they wake up later. And, so there's a timing thing here we may have to do. And school hasn't even started back for her. She's going into her junior year. I'm very excited for her. She had yesterday a driving class. Okay, Bob, I want to make sure it's the last episode here. Our next, I keep getting myself distracted. You know how I am. On Tuesday of next week, we have our first episode, and that's with a guest. We actually have 3 episodes. Man, that's going to be a hard day. But I'm going down on Friday. What support to move to Oklahoma? Oh, great question. But I want to stay with Bob here. This is not the last episode. That is the title is that was Studio 1. This is Studio 2, where we expanded into with the additional stuff. This is the last episode in Studio 2, which I showed you yesterday. I kind of panned around. In just under a week, you're going to see a whole new, fairly similar layout, and I don't know what it's going to look like yet because I haven't started setting stuff up. But we're going to be in Oklahoma, as the next question is that we're going to get to here, a comment. So Bob, please keep coming back. Subscribe if you haven't already. I've got so many subscribers. I'm looking through and trying to find people that I've seen. A lot of, just about every guest that we've had on here is now a subscriber to the show, which is awesome. Some of my family members. There's a whole bunch of people obviously here in the United States. The next biggest is Canada. And then the next biggest is, I think it's the UK, and then Germany, one way or the other, and then Switzerland. And then Southeast Asia has a percentage as well. So, you know, we're hitting a chord because all this stuff is going on around the world. Guys, ask me a question about politics. That's what I want to talk about today. But like the first show, we didn't talk a whole lot about politics because, you know, this show is about the middle class. This is what we talk about. And it's not about, you know, supporting one side of the aisle or the other, so to speak. This is about supporting the great middle class and getting the people in there that need to be in there to do a good job at doing our bidding for what the American people need, because we are the backbone of America. And by extension, the working class, the middle class, is the backbone of every country they're from. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on with immigration, and there's some really bizarre things happening. And thank goodness, because of the leadership of the new administration and the leadership in general of the United States, because that's where the rest of the world goes. There's some backlash, and there's some opening of eyes of saying, wait a minute, we don't agree with what's happening here. So, you know, the whole racist and phobic thing and all that stuff is really going away. People are getting sick and tired of being demanded, shamed, really, you know, like the spoiled child does, the bully spoiled child does. And I think we finally woke it up and are, you know, there's a certain set of things that should not ever be allowed within our democratic republic. Free speech is an absolute critical thing, but you can't hide under an overthrow of a government's people under that free speech thing until it's too late. We have people who are openly socialist and openly communist as well. And you know, I couldn't believe during McCarthy time, you know, that stuff was going on, and it's so bizarre to think right now and seeing, you know, McCarthy, I think ism was like in the 50s or something, and a lot of people, Hollywood really got whacked. And you know, that's never been a thing that was ever totally defined out, I guess is the way to put it. Sorry, I'm hiding behind this one light that's really too close. Let me take this off. Okay, I've got to get to your guys' comments, but we're seeing that today. We're seeing actual internal attempt at overthrow of our government from within. And it's because of the way we voted. So with that said, what's going on in this country? I'll leave that there for now because I hope it sparks some questions. That's my opening statement. And I hope that we have some talk about politics as equal to the first show we did was Barbie and I, producer Barbie and I, and it's gotten, I don't know, somewhere around 1,000 views so far. I hope this bumps it up because she really gave some. It was an important discussion, and it was only about 32 minutes long. And it's very, very interesting as I go back and watch the original show. So we will have another original show in less than a week in the great state of Oklahoma, and I will be starting off to become an Okie, and I'm really excited about it. Let's go on, man. So this was the original. Great start to the show. And then I think I freaked Bob out a little bit here. Bob, I've got you, man. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, we're expanding. We're growing a little bit. What sparked the move to Oklahoma? This is the one I've been waiting for a bit. Love the question. I appreciate it. Greenville. Greenville, Tennessee. Wow, you're actually kind of close to me. Pretty much. Well, it's a couple of things, a number of things, actually. The start of the thinking of it was my family have always dreamed about and talked about, just the guys, we want to have a farm, a gentleman's farm of sorts, and, live with the animals and live off grid a bit. And so, that's been going on for a decade or more since the boys are older now. And think about those kind of things, that are out there. And so my one set of my oldest son lives in northern Texas. Last year, I've gone down there. Well, my granddaughter was born a year ago in October. And so a year ago from last October. So she's what, 20? Well, she's probably 21 months now. She was 20 months a few days ago when I was down there. So she's around 20 months. And I've been down there a bunch, and it's a 19. Well, it's 14 to my new home, which I thought it was 10. So that would make it's about a 16-hour drive nonstop. That, no stopping, right? Which isn't realistic. But now I'm only a couple hours away. Still space for them. And actually, my son and I are talking about another place because he's into real estate, does a lot of real estate work, and meaning purchase and not flip. He's a long-term dude with property because property is long-term. We're talking about doing another one down there. It's basically just a farm, whereas car business the cars that aren't on the road can be stored or, picked up from, delivered to. A little studio for this there, and then a little farm, because the younger generation's really, really, really getting into healthier food and actually growing a lot of their own food. It comes in and out of our society. Hey, a lot of people here really appreciate it. So anyway, that was what sparked it. What really has driven it lately is that this is another part. This is a step away from in a lot of the culture. If you don't really know or hear a lot about maybe Arkansas, and Oklahoma, even a little is different in the culture, meaning they have like a Texas light in some things, and yet a Texas heavy in other things. And, it's a much more non-dynamic. It's a rural community. It's, Oklahoma City's obviously there. And that's kind of that's their version of a big city. And it's, I don't know a lot about it, so I'm not going to go one way or the other, but it's a beautiful area. It's a beautiful people. They're nice. They what is it, Missouri? That's don't tread on me. They have that, leave us alone. We're doing good. So them not being talked about a lot is probably exactly what that group of our country, the United States of America, united by our big picture, not by our necessarily individual wants within a society. And, there's those extremes, because then you go to New York and they're voting in open communist. Open people saying, hey, you're getting everything free. That's communism, right? State-owned markets. And there's actually the left wing of the Democratic Party. It's not, I used to love the Democratic Party. My mom was a Democrat. My dad was a Republican. My dad was a Marine Corps. in the Marine Corps, served for 22 years. My mom was, at that time, worked, uh, outside the house selling. She was a salesperson, organs, pianos, and that. Now, as they continued on, they actually both became Republicans. My mom ended up going into business, and then my dad became even more supportive of it because, the VA, the veterans, and there's a lot of issues there. But the Democratic Party was always both were perfect for offsetting each other. Now, whether there was still corruption behind the scenes or not, that probably is still happening. We don't have the information we do now to know that. So, just getting back onto the subject, that whole area is a different vibe, a different thought, a different process, and that really is adding to the richness of this show, because I believe the richness of this show is I don't know a lot about, I know a little bit about a lot of things, and I'm pretty well versed because I've been all over this world. I've lived all over this world and this country, certainly. And here's another layer, but from that you pick up, if you're curious, and I've always been curious because I was never confident, believe it or not. So I was always curious about how things went to try and feel like I fit in, not a very healthy way to be curious, but it at the end of the day, it's now put me on this path where I'm now adding a layer of that knowledge to be able to talk with a little bit more understanding and reality, authenticity, educated knowledge, be able to talk from that point, even at a deeper point, because, I've lived in Florida, I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in California, Seattle, Virginia. Spent any time anywhere else? That's pretty much the Hawaii, obviously, Alaska, Guam, and then I've traveled all over the world, which traveling gives you an idea, but it's not living, right? If you want to learn a language really good, you go live in that country that speaks that language, and you become, after a lot of work, you become competent. You become literate in the language. So let's move on. That's how I started. That's what prompted, and I went a little deeper into the reason for going to Oklahoma, and I'm leaving today. The plan is leaving today. I have my internet starting up for the show at that location on Friday morning, so I have to be there. So I'm either leaving very late tonight or early tomorrow, depending on how the packing goes, which we've got a start on, but it's not a lot, so it's going to be pretty quick. I got to go pick up the truck here in a little bit. Then the loaders are coming in, which then one of them will be driving down, and then will be helping me pack in to the new address, the new location. So where am I? Okay. By the way, thank you again, Greenville, Tennessee. Citrus, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you here. Will the show format change after the move? No. I am not because of the move, but I will tell you there's been a lot of demand and interest and want for speaking more on current events, and because we've done a whole lot of really good information on health, because it's important. We need to be physically and mentally, and the three brains, right? You've got the brain, you've got the heart, which actually controls the brain, and then you've got the stomach, which also actually controls the brain. And there's episodes on these different items that we don't have access to that really are beneficial. But we've done a lot on health. Before that, we did a lot on IT. So and then mixed in there has been finance. And next week is finance and politics. We have three shows on Tuesday, one on Thursday. I know we're going to do at least one Emmeline and Grandpa Rod show on Friday. I want to do 2 or 3 a week with her. I'd like to see if we can get like producer Barbie to do one series of shows, which will be highly politically motivated, which I think would be a really good channel lane to go in. We have the AI, a lot of AI going on. So we're starting back, not on demand, but by popular request, a lot of focus on AI, Bitcoin, crypto, that whole blockchain, that whole segment. And I was talking to my son, and we're going to do some things together, but we have a lot of people that come in. As a matter of fact, August 5th is the grandfather of AI in business, and he's a funny guy. So it's going to be a really perfect show for what we do. So no, the format's not going to change. It evolves, it flows with different subjects, but that has nothing to do with this, except for I'll be able to talk more about the middle class because this is an addition in thought process and opinions and desires and needs in this area. I'm sure Colorado is dramatically different. I spent a lot of time there. But again, as a matter of fact, I know people on this show that are friends of this show that are from Colorado. And I have friends I graduated Huntington Beach High School that have moved to Idaho and Colorado away from that because it's you see a lot more of that movement going on because I think people are really concerned about the bigger cities that have these ideas about how what they think is better for the people living there. And it's all about politics. But so Citrus, it's not going to change. It will continually move. And you guys have a great influence on what is coming up, what the people look for. Connect. We got a lot of interesting. Are you planning to do episodes from the new location? 100%. Absolutely, yes. From starting Tuesday. Yeah, I should have started these questions a while ago. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Starting on Tuesday, we have 3 episodes, and there's 2 political and a finance. The first one's about finance, trading, options trading, and we've done several shows on that. David Chen, he's coming on. He's very well known, and I'm very excited about that. And then we follow that with some political discussions that lean into some other topics that politics affect. I'm really looking forward to that because I like really having the opportunity to talk about this program. Really thinking about and one thing I've started to think about in moving. Speaking of Oklahoma and the new location and all this, Oklahoma. Oh my God, yeah, Oklahoma. I keep being afraid of saying Arkansas because I was actually looking there too. There's some cool stuff. You want to get into like old, Southern type mansions. Starting in there, if you go, there's some really neat stuff out in this world, folks. And people are starting to discover that. There's some really amazing pricing too. I mean, if you're not living where everybody else is living, where all the shit's happening, if you're living out in more of getting back to when in the 40s, people were starting to build areas, and maybe the 30s, but 40. And, you're getting more of that. Hey, I know my labor, and you've got those small town atmospheres. This one is where I'm moving to, is what they call the big brother small town of all the other little small towns around them. The next one, I think closest to me, is south towards Texas, about 27 minutes. And nothing but farms and different land stuff. I don't know yet, but away. And I'm moving to the town that's the big brother of the area. And to be honest with you, it's a beautiful downtown and very modern and abled. But it's 5,500 people, maybe 501 now. I don't know how that count goes, but so yeah, it's a different world. We are planning right away. Friday, I have the internet coming in. Tuesday is our first show. I gave myself a buffer there on Monday. If I'm all set and ready to go, I'm going to do a coffee and tea time, or maybe Emma and I will do a show. Unfortunately, I'm still 2 hours ahead of her. So we're going to have to figure that stuff out. I might be doing later night shows on the Grandpa. That's not a bad idea, because actually that's going to be a lot more manageable there than here. Great idea. Great idea, Connecticut. You just made me think of something that might work out, and that'd be better for her. More realistically being able to do it. Hey, Kate, will moving to Oklahoma open up new topics or guests that weren't possible in Illinois? Yes and no, I think. But to your point, Kate, I'm very much. Oh, well, going back a couple times, I didn't finish the sentence and I went off on another way. But I think the politics being more local, it's going to give me better access to one-to-one discussions with people. Let's hope so. Let's see how that plays out. But also, I'm really planning on, getting to know over a little bit of time the people of our town of Mangum, which is a cool name. I just love that name. I've got to find out what it's for. I haven't even tried to look, but it's got to be something translatable. If any of you guys know, let me know. But I will be looking. There's a lot of real estate people on today. Oh, okay. I got some people asking additional questions to what they started. I was hoping to kind of leave this at about 32 minutes, our first show. And by the way, click on that show. It's in the description. It's that first link that says, if you want to see our very first live, and it's producer Barbie and I, as the name began. That is a show that's been very popular, obviously. And now I'm hoping that it'll get its rebirth, so to speak. We are adding additional services that we're going out to vendors to add some additional editing abilities to bring our quality up a little bit. It's been I do everything, so it's I don't want to start getting to a point. I've still got to balance money. Please, guys, speaking of money, please subscribe. Please, anybody that would be interested in being a sponsor of one of our series or shows, please reach out to them. I'm kind of balancing right now, that next step. You know how growth goes. You've got to prepare for that, and so I'm trying to add. I do these. Let me see. Maybe I could just pull this up for the hell of it. Is this? Yeah, here. I'm going to do a quick share here. Present, share screen. I wasn't planning on this, but you know how I am. This one. And share. Okay, so this is something that we just put together. I'm actually having it being redone right now. We're going to be sending this out. because we've got a number of shows that are just growing tremendously. And thank you for the audience. But what I'm just trying to say here is, if anybody knows, works at any companies or works at any missions, any companies that want to have additional realization, branding, what they want to be able to get across as a message, that company, that organization. This is what we're starting to put out. If you know anybody that would benefit or be interested in something like that, I mean, we're just again, like we do with our guests, we just cover costs. And now with us growing, we're just trying to balance that so that we continue to provide the first rate, number one awesomeness to you, our audience and our subscribers. But please subscribe, talk about it to your friends. I literally talk about it to everybody. I tell them what I do. And they go, "Oh, you do a pod? Interesting." I said, "Yeah. Well, what's up?" I said, "Do you listen to podcasts?" Boom. I think we've gained 3 or 4 new subscribers just in the last couple of days from that. And then one of them's already got their fiance dialed into it and into the show. We'll see how all that goes. You gotta be able to supply the information. So let me get back to the information. Sorry, guys. It's been a long couple of days. It's going to be a long few more. Let me get this off the screen. And then so I plan on doing some definite man on the street, person on the street kind of discussions. But what I'd really like to do is, work with City Hall, which is more personable. It's not like working with the City Hall of Chicago or something. So you have a lot more ability to maybe do some more intimate things with the local area, and by extension, continue to build that vision and that journey that we're on. So yeah, there is some real possibility of doing some additional things. Michael Linton, what's been your biggest challenge in Studio 2? Lighting. Oh my God. Yeah. Great question, by the way. Thanks, Michael. That was interesting. It's not space. I had to work around originally because we had 2 people in studio. We had to work around with some different desking and different things that ended up finally coming into place. Like, what was it? A couple days ago, I said, "Oh, I finally got it dialed in just like I like it." And then right when that, it's like, but then I'm going to have to do it all over again. So the biggest challenge literally was lighting. Not really anything else. It's been really good in the studio. I've really enjoyed it. The air conditioning I thought was going to be a little loud, but it hasn't been an issue. I had to adjust sound, in the software, you can adjust some things. So early on we had this, and then we kind of worked through it. I started upgrading my earphones. And so, everything's been pretty smooth. The biggest challenge is just me. I mean, well, besides the lighting, the biggest challenge is me, is because I'm growing into something, right? I'm growing into a place here within the show and within the journey and within the structure of all of that. So, as I grow, it's becoming easier. But man, look at the first show. I'm serious, guys. Click on that after you're done watching this. Go ahead and just go back to the direct instructions or description. Sorry, click on that link I have there, and watch the first show. It's actually would have ended by now, right now. Like, I think it's 32 minutes and some change, but it's really interesting. It's funny how when you look back basically a year ago, and you see what your vision was and what we're going to be doing. And then a year later, you start seeing what has been going on, and oh my God, it just got an itch in my eye. So a lot of things haven't improved, but a lot of things have. We've gotten better at it. I mean, man, we struggled to go 30 minutes on that first show because, what do we talk about? Now, with guests, we've been over 2.5 hours before. A couple of times actually I think 3 times we've been over 2 hours. One was 2:45, I think one was 2:30, and one was 2 hours and like 17 minutes or something. So, and then a bunch of all the rest of them are at least an hour long, if not an hour and a half or hour 15 minutes. That's a pretty good show right there. About an hour and 15 minutes is where I like to go. Because then at least, and the thing is, with our guests, we're going to start doing phase 2s of some of those, because in that 2 hours or that hour and 15 minutes or whatever it was, we got into a lot of really good information. And then there's still a whole bunch more that we had to leave on the table, so to speak. So biggest challenge to Studio 2 is number one is me. I got to challenge myself to get better. And so far, we've got a long way to go. Like, I thought I turned off my sound. But the number 2, fairly close, has been lighting. So any chance we'll see behind the scenes from packing day? Hey, it's Jacksonville again. Not packing day, because I got to pack. But I am packing ahead of the other packing. That makes sense. Hopefully it will in a second. I'll tell you what, though, I'll make you a deal. We'll get some behind the scenes. Like, I'll set up a camera, I'll start something, and then I'll pop in every once in a while, and I'll have my earphones on, because the packers are doing most of the packing. I have to help with the bed, because it's a huge bed. Well, it's not huge. It's a California King, if you know what that is. It's a king bed with a big heavy frame and headboard, and it moves up and down and that kind of stuff. Vibrates. I love that. I remember the original ones, like sometimes we as middle class had to go to a lesser level hotel. You go to like a cheap hotel, if you get a quarter, you stick it in there and then that'll vibrate. That's what this is. Only you can adjust it, and you can, do different things. So it does feel really good. So it really calms me down, that kind of, and it just kind of, that almost meditation thing. And it just kind of brings me in to be able to wind my day down, so to speak. So yeah, packing day, no. Today, no. Unpacking day, likely, and then maybe some following weeks, because it's just me and the dogs aren't going to help. I mean, I don't think I'd want them to help if they wanted to. Let's see, retail doctor show. Yeah, she was. Hey, how are you? I've seen you on here a couple of times now. As a matter of fact, I was just reviewing one of our episodes, our episode, not one of. Let's see. How has the journey changed your view on politics? You know what? Honestly, this journey has actually made me more lean left. A lot of people are kind of shocked at the show who know me and have known me my whole life, and I always consider myself, I was a Reagan Republican. That's when I got into politics. I mean, I was 18. First day I signed up, and, coming from a family that was conservative, we didn't talk a lot of politics, or really watch that much news and stuff. Actually, I don't remember a lot of. Anyway, so I consider, but I've always considered myself also to be a little more leaning right on fiscal issues, a little more left on social issues. So you would think with the show, I would tend to lean into subjects that I grew up with. And this is what gives me interest and encouragement for the future of this country and our ability to lead ourselves into prosperity. Is that you would think from my background and all that, I would have, and then had this show lean more into that. But as my journey's gone on, I've really been curious about, okay, this is what I think. Why do you think that? Why do you think something different about that? And so as you listen to that, and then you listen to people who and talk to and again listen to them, and then ask questions to find out more about what they meant by this point or that point or these points, then you start to really say, interesting. When you start listening to other people's views, other people's experience, life experience, we talk about this on the show. Nobody has the same exact two lives. Your life is you are the only one who actually lives your life. And I don't mean that in a way that, what I mean is your world's completely different than the person standing next to you, no matter if it's your brother, sister, best friend, partner, whatever, because you look through life through these eyes. And those eyes go straight into, your gut feeling about something, how you feel about something, and then how you rationalize it and store it, and then connect it to the other things that you've had before, and then figure out what that means to you, that moment, that item, millions and millions of times a day. Like right now, if somebody was sitting right next to me and we were both talking at the same time, let's play with it, okay? Work with me. We would have two different experiences of this show, of this episode, of this moment. You and I are having two different experiences because you're going through all that as I am, and as everybody next to you, the other almost 250 people next to you are. And that's what kind of a fascinating thing to think about when that starts opening up your more curiosity. Then all of a sudden it starts to multiply a little bit. So now on issues, just in general, I'm more interested in finding out why that is better, that other opinion, that other thing, because I don't think everything that the conservatives put out is right or too much, or maybe not enough. I don't know what, I think the current administration's got a really better handle. So right now I'm very, again, trust but verify. Came in Reagan time. I trust what's going on. So I and right now I'm very excited versus and to be honest with you, I mean, I look at news from all over the place. These kind of platforms. I listen to NBC News. I listen to CBS. Well, not CBS. I don't think I can get. I don't know if I've seen CBS, but NBC. No, yeah, I've CBS News. It's more of a local thing here, though, that I can get access to. Fox, the Israel channel Z24, NBC. I'm sorry, CNBC, which is sometimes really hard to listen to, honestly. It's just so frustrating. I don't know how people can watch that. I mean, you have to really, really believe that communism is the right way to go. To really kind of buy into, there's no arguments. It's all personal and foo-foo-feely stuff. It's kind of like The View. And I'm sorry, but those are some extremists that drive me crazy, because there's a lot of people who listen to those things and don't listen to anything else, and then are excluded from society as a whole, and are not dangerous, but are damaging, or are certainly not beneficial to helping their country, their world, their people, their family get better. So anyway, and that's not just young people. That's pretty much across the age. And I think the younger group now is actually getting more conservative. So yeah, I've gotten a little bit more liberal. And I think it's a better, I think there's a better world that can be added to from a lot of different directions. So, luxury home. Yeah, Doctor. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that question. Bob, loving this episode. Vibe. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, buddy. Podcast show. You guys are kind of getting a little regular here. Will the setup look different there? Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, I've been going through and putting AI stuff on things and working with some design stuff. It's a lot smaller than this studio, but I don't use half this studio. So it may look like from here, it may look like the same setup. I don't know yet. I've got a bunch of screens, backdrops that I'll play with. The lighting will certainly be different. That'll be different because I never really did a good job with the lighting here. I've used this last year to figure it out. So yeah, it'll be different, but I don't know how much different it'll be. I might be playing with some of the backdrops here because that one's kind of boring. Maybe I'll have an ability to put it different because I've got a lot of these from the different shows that I've done over the years of my machinery business. And then I can customize it too. What will you miss most about Oswego? Well, I have some where I live. I have some really good friends that I've made over the last, well, honestly, since the show started. So I've lived where I live now for a little over 3 years since the motorcycle accident, which was even a little bit longer than I was 3 months in the hospital and then moved to this place, single floor. That's why. Well, that's why, and that was a good time for producer Barbie and I to move it, evolve in our relationship, let's say. So in the last, I've had friends there, off and on and all that, just like anybody else would with your neighbor. But, the last year and a half, really made some really good friends that, was it over the weekend or was it, what's today? Today's Tuesday. No, Wednesday. Today's on Monday. Me and some of the friends just out of nowhere, one of the dudes had a cornhole, with those ramps with the hole and you throw the bean bags. For like 3.5 hours, we're out there playing this and, just partying, music blaring, and people come over and join in or, cheer for this or that. It was a lot of fun. I haven't done that in a long time, especially as I'm getting older. So, yeah, I'm going to miss that about Oswego. Anything else? Yeah, I like some of the country around here. I love the fact that we're on the edge of getting away from society with around me's Plainfield's, 900,000 or something like that. Naperville's like 110,000, something like that. Aurora is like 40,000, something like that. And then we're like 30,000. So even though we're just 30,000, there's a lot of I can go. I love Longhorn steak. I'm sure they have them down there, or probably, it's Oklahoma. They have probably really good steak stuff, but a lot of food. I don't know how the food's going to be out there. So we'll see. That's certainly not a big priority of mine, but the services, box stores, big box stores, groceries, eye care, dentistry, that stuff, might be a little different. We'll see. Let's see. Are there guests lined up for Oklahoma shows? So at this point, we do guests from all over the world, and we do guests remote. We started out as in-house guests, and then we kind of but now we do we do all remote. But it's a great point. Boy, you're really throwing them out there, Mr. Jacksonville. Love it. Thank you. Appreciate it. But to your point, and it's a great point, no, they're not lined up, but I was just talking a little bit ago about man in the street type interviews. like what I used to do at shows. I'd get a booth 10 by 10 across from my booth, which was 10 by 30. So I'd have 10 by 30 and I'd have my equipment. I had an extruder and TVs and tables. And so I where we were, there was an aisle going this way, and then there was an aisle that ended into me. And the one that went this way, right over there, was the lunch area. So we get them coming in, and then the entry of this show was right there, and they'd come in down the main aisle, which was us. So they'd be either coming straight to the booth or other booths, obviously, but then straight to the booth for specific whatever. And then I'd be interviewing them. How do you like the show so far? What do you think of this? Yeah, we're right here. We've got this. You're looking at it, if it ever came up. Otherwise, the whole interview was about the show, which is always injection molding, blow molding, extrusion, and so on. So do I have anybody lined up? No. Do I plan on going the direction you're insinuating here? Very good call. Yes. And I'd like to do some specific political figures, the town, the county clerk kind of thing. It's not Clark County. I don't remember the county name yet. Well, maybe it is Clark. I know there's a Clark here, but so yeah, that kind of is where we go there. Sean, how did you decide today was the last episode? Because I bought the house like a couple of weeks ago. I've been wanting to move out for a while. I need to be able to have something to land into. I had the ability to put something down and be able to claim something for the first time that was just mine. And then beyond that, that kind of started a clock. And so I've got until the 31st, but working on the show episode, we do an episode every day. So I had to kind of figure out where I could, where there was already a block available. So just going back a number of weeks ago, see where that was, and then start taking the time unavailable from that. And then we kind of, you funnel down, and now it's all about, one, I want to get there. Two, I just had the whole thing redone out there, meaning everything cut back and groomed and whatever for coming in. Did a final big clean, deep clean there. I didn't, they did. I had somebody do it. I worked out with the realtor to do that. And then, so as the timing's coming down, and I've got funds that I've got allocated and versus the next set of bills. So there's a whole lot of things that made this the last show today, this being the last show of this studio. Tuesday, we have 3 more shows in the new studio. And that'll actually address a bunch of the people. Oh, you showed. Good girl. Thank you. Get to her in a second. So Sean, that's kind of how it all came to the point where this is the last episode in this studio. Next Tuesday, I've got 3 episodes in the new studio. So Sean, thank you. How are you doing, Ronaldo? Good luck with all your travels and what life has for you next. This was fun. Don't say this was fun. It's still fun. I mean, this was fun here, but it's still going to continue to be fun in the new place. It sounds like you're saying goodbye. Don't say goodbye. Oh, that's not what that is. No, I'm sad. That was the last comment. I don't have anywhere else to go. Ronaldo, can you give me something to finish off on here? Hey, I'm going to be under an hour. All right. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate, what has been so far the greatest but certainly the greatest experience of my life. And it's because of all you guys, all these questions, Ronaldo, everybody else, Sean, and podcast show, Bob, and everybody who comes on regularly, and the people in addition on today. Please subscribe and like the show. But it's because of all you that this has been the greatest. I say the greatest experience of my life because it's positively affected all the other experiences. In other words, I'm a better father. I'm a better man. I don't know if I'm a better businessman yet, and that's not really that important in this discussion. I'm a better person. I'm potentially a better mate. I would think I would be. But most importantly, I'm a better father, better grandfather, and father-in-law, and all of those things because of Insights and Straight Talk, because of you, the audience. And, I'm just Rod Duff, your host, and I'm out.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.